My name looks so good because it's big on a screen. Hey everyone. Thanks for tuning into PJ Phil's Last Stand. This is episode 3. Episode 3 is a very special episode. Why? Because it's all about interaction. Remember when you used to send me postcards and I'd answer them? Well, we're going to try to do that, but with the internet. So you just have to comment on, say, our YouTube channel. Have you subscribed to that yet? You'll wanna. If you wanna, you can listen to the podcast and it's available on every platform available. But on YouTube, you see this face. Don't you like that? You wanna see it. So Dave Amber's on episode 3. Also, we have our segments called What's in the Box and Where Was I? And I talk about the time I got kicked off a reality show in the US on W Network. And it was called, I'll tell you right now, it was called Style Me with Rachel Hunter. So I talk about that. But this is the episode with us talking to you. And we're gonna have more of that. We're gonna figure out other ways to do it. But yeah, here we go. Without further ado, it's episode 3. PJ Phil's Last Stand. Episode 3. Question and answer! Yeah! Let's do it. Where's the mic? All right, okay, we're gonna do question and answer, but a buddy of mine just walked in. David Amber from Hockey Night in Canada. Wow. So I have a few friends here from high school. I don't know if you know, I went to high school with David Amber. The first time I met him was in grade 12 economics class, Miss Gotts's. He is the class clown. So I think you just got yelled at by Miss Gotts's, and then she turned around to write on the board, and Dave does this, like really loud, and she turned around and she goes, "You don't think I know what you did? Do you remember this?"
Why did we relive this?
Also, there was a Chinese food restaurant just down the street from Jarvis called China. And we were there. Dave Amber, the class clown, puts his arm around and puts his finger in the chicken ball sauce. He did this.
He did.
And then the guy from around the counter jumps over the counter with a broom, chased him onto Church Street.
You're a shit disturber.
You get canceled for that today.
Oh, David Amber.
Dave, the first time you were on television was when? On YTV.
What?
Check this out.
Another YTV personality?
I swear to God.
David Amber.
He was
all over the place.
Yeah, you guys
This
are.
tells you how loose YTV was. I went to my producer and I said, my buddy wants to come on the show because he was at university back in Montreal. Him and his roommates would prank each other all the time. And his prank was, he'd come on my show, read a letter that sounds like it's from a 5-year-old, and then hold up a picture of our buddy Stefan, who's watching back in Montreal to prank him.
You weren't producing this?
He was like,
time? Okay.
"My birthday is so-and-so, I love you." And here's a picture of me and my fishing buddy Art, and it's like a 20-year-old man. So our buddy Steph is in Montreal watching, going, "How am I going to get him back for this?"
That was national television.
There's national television, which tells you how loose it was. It was the zone. And that was
And that thank you, future Order of Canada recipient,
David Amber.
That's where it all started.
Let's go.
He might have to go. He has to make dinner for his daughter. But
Yeah,
thanks,
he's got to
Dave.
go because he's a serious broadcaster. That's what serious broadcasters
You might
do.
not want to hear more stories.
What happened? Okay, now question and answer. I just had to get that out. That's my buddy Dave. David Amber has a question.
All right, for any, because all you guys have done so many interviews. Of all the interviews you've done, what is the most memorable interview and why?
For me, it's for one of my favorite bands, David, Pearl Jam in Phoenix. Before the show at the Memorial Arena, I walk into the room with the record label rep to interview Pearl Jam, and I think it's gonna be Eddie and all the guys. So I walk past Eddie, who's on the couch drinking a bottle of red wine, and I get led into a room that has Stone Gossard and Jeff Ament, which is still very, very cool.
Yeah.
But in the 90s, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, it was, I know a lot of us are into those bands, but it was a pinch me moment because now I'm interviewing them for Much Music.
You're at this. You was at the Sock maybe one of your.
Yeah, probably Highland. He's at the Sox. You know at the Sox. We had a meeting with at the Sox. Anyway, whatever.
Doug Gilmour and Michael Jordan have a celebrity golf tournament at Lion's Head in Toronto, and Phil Guerrero and I get somehow press passes to go and do this thing, to go and cover this thing, and they give us a camera and we have all access, which is ridiculous. So Phil and I are walking around, and our bit was with everybody. Ty Domi's there, Alice Cooper is there. There's a whole bunch of rock stars and people and everything. Our bit, by the way, is like Phil and I are like, we go up to a celebrity and we're like, hey, can we get a picture? And then Phil and I hand the camera to the celebrity and put our arms around each other, and they take a picture of us. They loved it. They loved it. So Michael Jordan is on the putting green, and nobody's allowed to talk to him. But I'm there on the thing, and I'm like, hey, Michael, who do you think's going to win this weekend? And I say this to Michael Jordan, who's putting, and they're going to play the Raptors. And Michael turns to me, and he looks at me, and he goes, Michael Jordan turns to me, and he looks at me, and he goes, what do you think? And I'm like, I don't know, we beat you last time.
Yeah, we did. I was at that game.
And Michael goes, oh, yeah, you did. That's what he says to me. And then it ends, and then people start talking, and Michael continues putting. Phil Guerrero and I later, we had a golf cart. So our cameraman is driving, our audio guy is in the passenger seat. Phil Guerrero and I, PJ Phil, and I are where golf bags go on a golf cart. Do you know that? We are where the straps go. That's where we are. So we're holding on like this to go and interview Ty Domi at, the 16th hole or something like that. Michael Jordan is behind us after this in his golf cart with a cigar in his mouth, and he sees us. And he's like, there's the motherfucking redhead who just said that we beat you last time. And he comes up and starts bumping us. He starts ramming into our golf cart. Michael Jordan's like, ramming into me and Phil, who are holding on to this golf cart like this, banging into us. I'm like, I'm going to make a lot of money from this shit. Anyway, the fact that we had the access that we did then, and we kept doing hey, can we get a picture? And then all the celebrities started like posing, and we're like, no. Want a picture of me and Phil? They loved it. It's a good bit, right, Rick? Thanks, Rick.
You got to enjoy like TV in your adult life. We were just kids, and we didn't know what the fuck. We didn't know what we were doing.
I want to ask you that same question. Wait, I want to ask you that same question.
I gotta go for real. Keep rolling.
Yeah. Can I call you? Can I call you?
We'll be out. JCI, baby.
Love you, man. Thanks for coming, Bella.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Nice to see you, David.
Wow. Huh? Hey. Okay. Here's the straight skinny on the reality show I was in when I lived in Los Angeles. It was called Style Me with Rachel Hunter, and it was for the W Network. And I remember auditioning, and I didn't really hear anything. But then all of a sudden I got a call, okay? And they said, you're gonna be on the show. We need you to do two things, a drug test, which I passed, and a security check. So let's start with that, the security check. I was like, what is that? Someone's gonna call you. So someone calls me all of a sudden before I have to go. And I guess it's like a private investigator or someone like that, of that nature. And he just asked me questions like, have you ever told a lie? And I said, well, yeah. You're like, I don't know, yeah. But it was a funny set of questions. It was like, have you ever assaulted someone? Stuff like that. So I have this interview with that guy. It goes, I guess I pass. I get a plane ticket to fly to New York. And I'm like, okay, this to be a stylist, a fashion stylist. Now, my fashion background was, and I call it this, I used to be a shopper. When I was at YTV, I followed fashion. Why? Because I had money, and I spent on stupid crap. But, mind you, I still have original Tom Ford Gucci from the 90s. laying around. So it was sort of a good thing to spend money if you kept it. Well, anyways, so I used to spend on that crap. Every 6 months, I would see, oh, zippers are in this season, and I was shopping like that, spending a stupid amount of money on clothes. Now I'm in LA. I don't have a lot of money to work with. Now I'm in a personal style. I'm just doing what I want to do. I have no clue of what to do with styling. This is what I did. I went to Borders and Books and the Starbucks in Borders and Books. I got a coffee. I grabbed some books about styling, and I sat there in one of those plush chairs all day and read about styling and took notes and put the books back and never really paid for the books. And that's where I learned. And then a friend of mine gave me the Stylist's Handbook, and I snuck that. I hid it in my luggage when I went to New York and brought it with me. And so I was kind of cheating. I was juicing, let's say. I was stylist juicing. So here's the thing about style. Here are the things you need to pay attention to, okay? Silhouette, what does that mean? The silhouette of your body. If you were a shadow, what do you look like? Okay, and I ask this because what does a style sketch, what does a fashion sketch look like? It looks like something a human doesn't even look like. Their torso's about this big, their legs are this long, right? That's what is fashion. That's the silhouette you want to achieve. But with clothes, you could do that. If your legs aren't long, there are ways to make them look long. So silhouette, authenticity, what does that mean? If you go to a party and will you run into somebody wearing the same shirt? Authenticity means, do you have that only piece of clothing that nobody has, and where did you get it? Now, I found cheap ways to do that. Authenticity can come from your father's necklace or your mother's this or something that vintage. Vintage is a great way to achieve authenticity. Context, here's another one with fashion styling. Context means you choose something like cowboy. So what does that mean? Cowboy boots, a hat, a belt, a Western piece of jewelry. And it doesn't all have to be like that. If zippers are in, have a zipper, but a hat and boots, you know what I mean? And what that I feel achieves is people get it. They get your style right away. When I got to the show, I realized what they did was they built it around characters and stories. The girl from Illinois who has a kid, who has a mother dying from cancer. The boisterous, fun girl from Chicago. It's not about styling. It's about stories. And it's also about drama. And you don't get drama unless you mix a bunch of different people that won't get along. If I was doing a reality show, guess who's gonna be roommates? The Black Panther guy and the Grand Dragon from the Ku Klux Klan. You know what I mean? Like, that's where you get the drama. Here's the other thing that they would do. In reality shows, they pull you in for your individual interviews, they call it. So they would pull you into a room, and what they would do, I swear to God, they would ask you questions like this. Now, who in the house do you hate? It was like that. And you were like, I don't hate anyone from the house, but they're like, we need a name. And listen, I actually thought it was about styling. But if you want to last in one of those shows, you need to be this person. I don't care, I'm gonna get drunk. And then you lock yourself in the room and they have to call an ambulance. Man, you will last in that show right to the end. I swear to God, this is what I learned.
How long did you last?
I made it to the first elimination episode. So on an elimination day, everybody packs their bags and puts their name on their luggage. And then you leave to go shoot the elimination episode. And what they do is they've already decided what 2 people are going home. And they put those bags in the trunk of a van. And you go from being in makeup and costume to your bags are in the van, and they take you to the airport, man. So I got eliminated on the first day. Okay, and the challenge was, it was a market in New York, and you have to carry around a mannequin in a black dress, and you have $60 and 40 minutes to accessorize the dress. By the way, everybody thought that I was gonna last to the end. I get eliminated. Why? Because I had $2 left, and I bought a snow cone and ate a snow cone because I finished early. And Rachel Hunter was like, you bought a snow cone. I found out later, and I only found this out because I was invited to the finale episode to be an assistant to one of the last two that made it. Okay, so they flew me back to New York from LA. Anyways, I found out later, and this is a true story, okay? So on Elimination Day, the lights were so hot on the set of this fashion school, we were all sweating. So we took a break, and we came back into the set, and I said to Rachel Hunter, we're all losing weight in there. Like, I made a joke, like, woof, we're all losing weight in there. She thought I was calling her fat, and someone else's bags were in the trunk, and were in the van, and she said, get those bags, put them back, and take his bags and put them in. I found this out later because a production assistant told me at the wrap party of the finale episode, you know why you got, and she was drunk, and she said, you know why you got kicked out, right? I said, no. And she told me that story. So now I'm back in LA, tail between my legs. This is the craziest thing. So I'm on Hollywood Boulevard, and Hollywood Boulevard is the one with the stars on it. There's a guy sitting there with a bunch of DVDs on a blanket. He's like, do you want to buy a DVD? I'm like, okay, what do you have? And I look, and he has a DVD about Iron Maiden. And it's a DVD about how they made the album Number of the Beast. But okay, I'm into heavy metal, right? I love Iron Maiden. I buy this DVD. I watched this DVD. In the bonus section, there's a BBC documentary about a movement of heavy metal called the New Wave of British Heavy Metal. This thing is so particular, and this is nerd stuff. They were called Headbangers. They were in a specific, I think, part of England, maybe Birmingham, somewhere in England, and they were this small little nerd group, and they were into these kinds of bands. And they would make these things, these jackets with studs on them and patches all over them. You've seen them everywhere. They call them battle vests, they call it whatever. I'm in LA. It's the 2000s, the era of DJ AM and Samantha Ronson and paparazzi and Von Dutch hats. So what I did was, I'm gonna do this heavy metal vest. I'm gonna learn how to make them. And I'm gonna put like rhinestones where it says Iron Maiden. So somehow with different methods of like stamping, like with these studs, I learned how to do it by hand with a shoemaker's awl. I learned how to space them. I learned how to put them anywhere I want on the jacket. And I basically made a 2000s version of the heavy metal battle vest. Now I'm going to Hollywood parties, and I notice actors are asking me about this jacket. Where'd you get that jacket? I was like, I made it. And then they ask you, oh, you made it. Are you a fashion designer? And because you are hustling in LA, you always say yes. So I'm hustling in LA because, you know, I don't have a job, you know. So are you a designer? Yes. And then you get that phone number, and then you get into this game of making more and more jackets and maybe making one for them for free. But, and the psychology is, you know, give me a jacket because I have an appearance on the American Music Awards. So you do this sort of like this exchange of services, and you're building these relationships at these events with this stuff. And that's how the jacket making started. It's like it became a fashion line and actually had contacts. I eventually became Little Mama, this rapper, her fashion stylist. Now, man, I used to be a person on TV in Canada. Now I'm on the Warner Brothers set with a lanyard for the final episode of America's Best Dance Crew. I'm in Little Mama's trailer, ironing clothes for her outfit that she's wearing on the finale episode of America's Best Dance Crew. And like, what the hell?
I'll go some questions. All right.
Let's go, Cory.
Cory Atkins of YTV News.
Hello,
everybody.
Toronto. Look, I love these stories about our first interviews, our best interviews, our most embarrassing interviews. I know my first interview, Beastie Boys, very nervous, 1992, MCA takes me out to the tour bus to relax me with some parts of a plant.
Different scents.
Okay,
yeah.
well, yeah.
I think it wasn't
like,
legal
it
then,
looked
but
like
it's legal.
oregano, but it made me very relaxed.
Yeah. Not legal then, but legal
Still one of
now.
my best interviews. My most embarrassing was with Ozzy Osbourne. My most difficult was with Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden.
Oh, yeah, he's tough.
So, is there a most embarrassing interview you guys have ever done? Is there a most difficult ones that stands out?
I got one and I'm embarrassed about it. I'll start with this. Julie Andrews, legendary Sound of Music. I think she was in the Princess Diaries or something like that at the time. And I'm getting to talk to Julie Andrews. And I tell her that I love the movie Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which she is not in.
She's not in that one. And what did she say?
She said, oh, that's great. Because she's amazing and I'm a loser.
No.
You fucked up.
Honest
I fucked
mistake.
up. You fucked
Honest
up. No,
mistake.
not an honest
well, I have a
mistake.
similar one to that. I was interviewing an indie artist out of New York, Alana Davis. And Alana Miles was really big at the time, or just after Alana Miles' time. And when I ended the interview, I'd say, it was really nice to have you, Alana Miles. And she almost stood up and punched me right in the nose. Sorry, Alana Davis, but does anyone know who Alana Davis is? No! There you go.
Oh, John Bon Jovi. I brought my guitar because I wanted to see if he'd want to do, like I was going to play Wanted Dead or Alive.
Yeah.
And see if he would.
12-string?
He would. Yeah, I brought my 12 string. But we asked them, and they were like, no. And I was kind of mad throughout the interview, like, because he refused.
Sure.
But so I'm talking to John Bon Jovi, and I'm kind of mad. But he had a booger that you could see.
Yeah.
And
Did you tell him?
I was staring at it, and he kept doing this.
Oh, no.
And I was like, come on. Come on, baby.
Just fall.
Come on. And then he did this, and it went. And I was like, yes! I saw it fall in slow motion. Like, it was like.
Were you saying, come on, baby?
I wonder if John Bon Jovi knows right now that John Bon Jovi booger is trending.
Sometimes when you do such a great interview and make an impact, they invite you out. They want you to be around. They want to be social.
I got something.
Rick, I know you and I have experienced that. Paul, Phil, has there been a moment when someone of notoriety, a rock star, an actor, has said, come out with us.
Yeah.
Do something fun with us without the cameras. Do tell.
I tell you what, I don't have one. Can I start with a shitty story? Like this is kind of the totally opposite of that, and then you guys can get to the glory.
yeah, don't worry. It's my show. It's
No.
not his. Yeah,
Let me
please.
do that. Let me do that. This is the opposite of that. Phil and I are at African Lion Safari. This is the opposite of being welcomed into something. We were doing a shoot, African Lion Safari, and there's a school bus full of high school kids who are just getting ready to leave, and we're walking in, and the two kids lean out of the bus, and they say, "Hey, are you Paul and Phil from YTV?" And you and I go, "Yeah." And they go, "You fucking suck!"
Yeah.
And then we both start, We loved it so much. And I was
That was good.
I'm never going to forget that. That is the opposite of getting invited out with cool rock stars.
I remember that.
So
Yellow
that's why
school bus.
I've never been out with cool rock stars. I give you that, and then I let you guys tell the cool
Are you
rock
sure
star
that wasn't
stories.
Bill Welichka and Cory
I
Atkins yelling
swear
out
to
that
God.
window?
Yeah, maybe not.
You're up.
Rick?
'Cause I know you've got a few.
Oh,
Yeah.
you must have a million. They all probably wanted to hang
You know,
out.
when the boy band craze took over, it was unbelievable. The world of music was big.
That was more our thing than your thing, I think.
It was.
was.
But the record labels were just rolling out the red carpets for everyone at that time. Cory, you lived it too. All the record labels, because they all had their own boy band or, you know, Britney Spears or Christina. But yes, mostly with those artists, because you really got in there with them and it was almost like becoming friends with them. One time, Chris from NSYNC asked me to go on tour with them, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't take that much time off work, but I would have loved to have gone on.
But he said, you want to come on tour with us to do what?
To just hang out. Just
With
hang out.
Backstreet Boys?
And experience. No, it was the NSYNC guys.
Oh,
The
NSYNC would have been
Come on, get your
sweet.
boy band straight.
I interviewed them. I sang with them.
He did sing with
You
them on the
sang
zone.
with them, so here
He
we
did.
go.
They
It was
were
really
sitting
good.
down for an interview.
Cut to the
and
clip. Yeah.
All of a sudden, I started going, "It's tearing up my heart," and they started singing.
That era, like they were just as gracious with what was going on as we were greeting them into Much Music. Like it was a friendship back then in that era.
Yeah.
So yeah, we hung out a lot.
Robin came in for an interview. I went out that night to some club in Toronto, and we ran into Lenny Kravitz. Lenny Kravitz is smoking a joint.
Yep.
Robin walks up. We're smoking a joint. This is what she said. She said, Lenny, I'm hungry. Let's go. This is what he says. He's like, sorry, guys. I gotta go. Robin, the 16-year-old, bossing around Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah.
How is it you guys keep showing up in my private domicile? Okay, that's right. You're back, and it's what's in my box, or what's in the box? What's in my box? Brad Pitt. What's in the box? Everybody has boxes in their basement with old stuff. Let's look at what's in my box. I remember this. This was my pass for the World Championship of Basketball. Now, I don't know if you remember, YTV, we were early when basketball came to Canada, and the NBA was kind of smart. They hooked into the kids, and they named the team after dinosaurs. And yeah, YTV was heavily involved. If you remember, the draft this year, I don't even know what year this was. The NBA draft was covered by YTV at the time. We did it, and people hated it, man. Sports fans were like, why is YTV covering the NBA draft? But I think it was kind of smart. Hook into the kids, because they're the future. Okay, so, oh man, this year, I was so hooked into the NBA with YTV because we covered the draft. Man, this was my life. And it was crazy at the time. I got to know the vice president of the Raptors. And if I ever wanted to go to the game, the Raptors game, which was, they were being held at the Sky Dome at the time, I would just call the vice president's secretary. Sweet lady, her name was Elaine. And I would say, Elaine, I want to come tonight. And she would just say, oh, sure, who are you bringing? And I would give the name of the person. And it wasn't even tickets. You would show up and they would give you a pass. And then you would sit right behind the net. And next to you was like all the players' wives. It was like a special section. Man, I lived the life. And by the way, I don't go, my life was better then. It was just different. I enjoy my life now. Listen, I get good coffee every morning. Oh, we have a real question. Yes.
Outside of YTV, what was your happiest time in your adventures in life?
You know what it was for me? Just meeting the people that were tuning in on a daily basis. The show Much On Demand that we hosted on a daily basis, we got to bring people in, and it was such a energy-filled atmosphere. So
great.
for me, it was meeting people on a daily basis.
Paul was working with me. Next question. No, Paul, go ahead.
I don't get recognized very often anymore. But if I'm with Phil, you know, like the Mohawk, the everything about Phil.
Who looks like
kinda
this?
like, you know, and people, if they see us playing
Only
tennis,
this
every
Phil.
now and again there's somebody that'll go by and go like,
You fucking suck!
yeah, they'll do that.
No, you're right. You're right. When I've been with Phil too, you have
No, that
people
was
yelling
good.
at- yeah.
But also they're like, I'm so happy to see you guys. And people
Yeah.
are genuinely happy that we
Yeah.
actually, that they can't believe that we still hang out.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody who's here tonight, and she was talking about when we ended at YTV in 1999, and we were out of there, and the facade was that we were no longer Y2K compliant. That's why we left. And she was 10 years old, and she was a bit heartbroken.
She remembered, eh?
She remembers, yeah. And give me your name again, I'm sorry. Laura was like, I was 10, you guys just disappeared. And I was like, I thought being Y2K non-compliant was a good narrative. And she's like, but I was 10. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't think about that. But so the fact that somebody like Laura came out tonight to see Phil and I, and the fact that it meant something it's honestly like the best moment of like, it's ongoing. It happens every now and again when we get to meet somebody like Laura.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Laura!
I'm sure you've been asked this before, but I'm wondering if you could bring back one classic YTV show, what would it be?
The first digitally animated show was Reboot. I would bring that back. That was cool.
Yeah.
I'd bring that back. That was cool. Yeah. That was groundbreaking.
You've all had very long, illustrious careers, and so I just want to know, what would you tell your 20-year-old self?
You don't really know what you're getting yourself into at such a young age back then, going on national television. I messed up a lot. So I would tell my 20-year-old self to listen up a bit more and pay attention to what people were telling you.
I would go back, I would be better with money.
What did you spend your money on?
I would cars and whatever.
Home theater.
Like
theaters.
what?
Yeah. My answer's money too. Be better with my money.
You know
we were
what?
spending it like it was like.
That's what I would have said.
It was
Like, buy a
raining.
house. What was your favorite show?
Ooh, just from the top of my head, The Hit List on YTV.
Tarzan
Tarzan
Dan.
Yeah. I
we
love
you,
The Hit
Tarzan
List.
Dan. When I got my job on The Zone,
Yeah.
when I auditioned, I was auditioning for The Hit List and a show called Street Noise. They gave Hit List to Dan, but they called me and said, we do this thing, these PJs, we're not giving you these jobs, but would you like to try this? And that turned into 11 years, man.
All three of you are massive figures of my youth. And I think you really instilled the importance of Canadian media for me. I was wondering what you feel is the future for Canadian media and what maybe you would advise for anyone wanting to get into that industry.
TV has evolved into this whole world of social media. There's stars out there everywhere around the world putting their phone in front of their faces, doing something that they love, and that's cool to see. It really is cool to see.
There aren't that many jobs out there now, so if you're getting into it, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to figure out a unique way to do it. If you're in it for the right reasons and you're in it because you want to be a part of it and your passion is true, you're probably going to find a place in there. It just might not buy you a 4-bedroom with double parking in Rosedale.
Do it for the art of
Yeah.
it, and if I always like to go against whatever else is happening.
Obviously. Here we are.
My daughter said a very interesting comment to me that I would love your insight on what you think. This is an opinion, okay? She said, Dad, I think you and your friends were the original influencers. Oh. So, you, I know, of all people, have been, I would say, titled with one of the most recognized faces in Canadian television. Are you guys the original influencers?
I am. There's a heavy metal band called Annihilator, and I met the guitar player. He's a young guy with a bunch of old guys. He picked up a guitar because I was playing guitar.
You're certainly right about Phil. Like the way that he looked, what he wore, whether it was long hair, the rings that he was wearing, the fact that he just, even if he didn't play the guitar on a segment of The Zone after school, he still had the guitar strapped over his back. Like people were like, oh, music's cool, that guy's cool. I'm just like, cool, that's cool, that guy's cool. So I think 100% that question is accurate as far as Phil Guerrero goes.
I was influenced when I was a teenager by the VJs that were on Much Music in the 80s. It's all a generational thing. It's who we're growing up watching, listening to on the radio, on the TV. And I'm sure our parents could say the same thing about who they were watching.
The kids who are watching at home were watching us, talking to them like they weren't kids. We were never talking down to anybody. We were never talking down to anybody. We were talking to them like they were our friends. And then it was like, oh my God, that's why, because we didn't talk down to them. So to your point, the influencing part, maybe there was a little bit of growth there. There was like some non-judgmental big sibling shit that was going on.
All right, thank you, Cory. Everybody, that's all the time we have. But I want to thank everybody for coming. I'd like to thank Steadfast Brewery for letting us shoot here. Yeah. I want to thank my producer, Claude, of course.
Well, there he is.
On sound, Craig. On camera. Everybody that's here. I'd like to thank you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time. Yeah. And I'd like to present you with these dead stock Gitano watches.
Yes, sir.
For being on Phil's Last Stand.
I was noticing on your wrist what a fancy watch that is.
This is welcome to my world.
I love that. Now we know what time it is.
Yes, that's what time it is. Thank you, everybody. It's Phil's Last Stand. Also, make sure you listen to Paul on the radio, 93.5. If you love country music, of course, Rick is on in the mornings, breakfast television. He gets up at 4 a.m. Woo! Thanks, everybody.